And you know, before the game, you said, would I take a draw? I said I would.
Honestly, people, what was that? That one of the most frustrating games of football I've watched in a long time. And I'm actually talking from both teams. The quality honestly wasn't there, but it's even more infuriating as a Reggae Boys fan that the game was there to be won and we never get it done. Of course, I have to talk about the 1-1 draw with the Reggae Boys away to Trinidad yesterday. And as per usual, start with the lineup where we got surprises from both coaches. First of all, I just gonna go straight to Trinidad. That surprised us big time with a change in formation and the fact that they dropped their talisman and captain Kevin Molino for this big important game. A game they had to win to stay in contention of qualification. And then, well, Steve McLaren decided to counter with his own head-scratching lineup. We also changed our shape. We went into that 4-1-4-1, which I absolutely hate with a passion, where we had Blake in goal, Holgate as right back, and I must admit I completely forgot that he can play there. King play alongside Pinnock in the center defense, and then Greg Lee at left back. Hayden alone in the CDM role. Gray came in, but on the right hand side. Russell and Reed in the advanced number 8 positions, and Cephas of course on the left. Then Burrell is a big surprise as well, despite his good form, but he get the run out at number 9. It was brave of the coach to put Holgate there to take on Spicer, and I will say for the majority of the game, Holgate did his job. But once I saw Jay Russell in this lineup, immediately I get the impression we will not be playing through a midfield and we'll be looking to go direct. And then when the game started, for a match that was built up as the big El Clasico of the Caribbean, it was so cagey and subdued to start the game. Leading up to this match, the entire islands of Trinidad and Tobago were talking about how they're going to bring the fire to Jamaica, but yet the crowd did not fully stay up and the players really started out as if they were nervous to get this job done. While Jamaica, on the other hand, to me, it was clear from minute one that Steve McLaren gave his team the instruction to slow things down and make the game as ugly as possible. We were so lethargic on how we were playing, and as I said before, we had no interest to build up the play through the defense, through the midfield, and up to the forward line. What was even more disappointing, we weren't exactly trying to look for Burrell into those channels. I'm not sure if it is because of him just not running into those spots or simply it was instruction from our head coach. And then I have to go back to the Jonathan Russell situation again. I get it, he has height. I get it that once he's in the box, he have a knack to just find the finishing touch to get us a goal. But unless we play to his strength, I just feel he's a wasted spot in that middle of the park. I mean, it was so interesting to see us lobbing those long passes to not Russell to try use his height and knock it down, but to Burrell instead, who lost majority of those air duels to the much taller centre backs from Trinidad. Honestly could not figure out what were our plan of attack in this first half, especially apart from the fact that we just have to spray the ball to Cephas and tell him to try his best to be Payne down that left hand side. For the majority of that first half, I hardly even remember that Bobby Reed was playing. He barely touched the ball, and then when Gray on the right side did get the ball, of course you won't get an overlap from Holgate, so Gray a lot of time was all alone on the island looking up on 2 to 3 red shirts, wondering where he should go. Now, before I leave the Russell case, I must admit he did get a perfectly fine goal in my opinion. When I first saw it on the initial run, it looked like a clear goal. Then I saw it on the replay, it looked like the referee got it right. But then when I saw this still shot right here, it was clear that the number 8 to me was playing on Russell and that goal should have stand. I guarantee you the referee is going to argue that this angle is not the best and would have to give the referees the benefit of the doubt. But if that goal would have kept us in World Cup contention, man, we would have been rioting right now. But yeah, just going back to the general run of play, we lost King early in that first half, which meant that even less of a build-up from the back when Low came on. And then, as usual, Trinidad grew and grew into that game, into that first half, and definitely had the better play going forward. We simply played nothing football, especially in that first half. Second half now, it seemed that the coach tried to, inject some life into his team. We started off the second half with a much higher back line, and we actually saw some movements from Russell, who would sometimes swing out to the right hand side to try to do his best to be crossing, which is not his strong suit, into the box. That high back line almost cost us, of course. Garcia got away a couple times against a slower back line that doesn't have Kin anymore, but thankfully his shooting boots was not here tonight. And then we finally got a bit of stroke of luck when we finally got Cephas in open space against one of the centre back and not against the right back Payne, who did well keeping quiet for majority of the night. Cephas did well to rock his defender and send him to the ground and did a good finish to get us a big lead at a very important time in the match. I was personally happy for Cephas because again he came into this match with a lot of criticism at his back, and I must admit it was a very good finish. After this is where a lot of people I'm already seeing on social media taking out their pitchforks and torch for the coach, and I can understand why, because I personally right here after the goal wanted us to keep the momentum we just gained and look for get a 1-2 punch to get a second goal before we start being conservative and lock up shop. I am not saying we're gonna go gun blazing and leave ourselves exposed at the back, but thinking in that moment in a must-win game for Trinidad, they were clearly panicking and they were there for the taking to get a second goal to really wrap up things. What we got instead is that we even dropped the line even further back, allowed them even more time on the ball, and then the coach made some conservative changes very early, and this is before the 68th minute, mind you, to clearly try to hold out for the 1-0 victory. And if you're watching football for many years, how often have you seen when a team off with this tactic will just end up this draw back to a late goal somewhere down the line? I've seen it with Arsenal, I've seen it with Brazil, and now I've seen it with the Reggae Boys. And the coach himself in the post-match press conference even admitted these kind of things happen all the time. So why did he went so conservative so early in that second half? He had three options. The first one was to keep the players there, maybe freshen up the forward line and go for the quick 1-2 punch to finally knock out Trinidad. Or he could have bring on more technical ball possession players in that midfield to try hold possession much longer and suffocate Trinidad off the ball. Or third, as he said, bring on another centre back, bring on another defensive midfielder and going in a very low block and survival mode to keep out Trinidad from getting back a goal. What the coach chose to do is actually a bits and pieces of all three options, and in the end, it is simply did not pan out. He changed the wingers, including Cephas, who you could say was looking a bit leggy. I'm not sure he had took a knock, but I would have kept him out there. I expect with Trinidad getting more and more desperate, there'll be even more space for him to run into to get us another counter goal. But alright, he took off Cephas, he took off Gray, took off Beryl, and he took off Russell. He brought on the ball possessive technicians in Anderson and Whisper. He brought on fresh legs in the attacking line with Campbell. And then towards the end, he brought on another left back in Henry to play with Lee to try to stifle that side of things to keep Garcia and Molina quiet in hopes that we hold out for the 1-0 victory. I will agree it was the right time to bring on Whisper, but I did not understand the change of Burrell, who I must admit put in a shift for us up front. He was fighting off scraps. Finally, when the game was seemed to be getting stretched, we took him off. In a squad that has 4 centre forwards, we ended up finishing this match without neither of them on the field, and I just find that was a big mistake. The coach did say in the post-match that he was saving Nicholson for the Curacao game, but then I thought the right change up front for Burrell should have been Kadamateri, who would have done decently well in those channels to try to stretch the field and hold the ball in Trinidad's half. Then I go back to the fact that Bobby Reid remained on the pitch. I know the coach wanted him there for his experience, and again, the midfielder was supposed to be trying to hold on to the ball, but Bobby Reid was simply invisible up to that point, and it was best reserved, in my opinion, to take him out of the game. If you came to this game looking to scrap away and come away with a point, or even a scrappy 1-0 victory, to leave Anglin out of the 23-man squad is a head scratcher to me. He would have been perfect to come into this game alongside Hayden, and Anderson could have come in for Bobby Reid to really try to solidify that midfield to make sure we don't give up any late goals. But again, all this is hindsight. We did give up the late goal, 85th minute, and to be honest to you, I saw it coming. Even though with Henry and Lee over on that left hand side, Trinidad was getting more and more crosses from that side into the box. And with Cephas not being there, they could be desperate and put as many red shirts into the box as possible to try to get back 1 goal or 2. I see some people blaming Lowe for the goal, but you know, I guess he was just a little bit late on his header, but so them think they go, and the ball is simply landed to the right man at the right time for Trinidad. And then after that, we try press forward to get back a quick second, but it was too little too late. And then we end up drop crucial points to a Trinidad team that, I'm sorry, wasn't all that good on the night and was there for the taking. If we really have came out and been bullish to believe that we're the better team, we would have won this game easily. But nope, we as usual as Jamaicans make things very tough on ourselves, and now we have to face Curacao in a must-win game on Tuesday to make it to the 2026 World Cup. But anyway guys, that is it from this review show of what went on in this game. Before I run out, I just have to get a special mention to Greg Lee. Once again, I thought he was the man of the match, by far our best player so far in this World Cup qualifying round. But anyway, as I said, I'm running out of here. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the coach's tactics and approach to the game. Do you thought it was way too conservative, or you thought it was the right approach, as we had to leave Trinidad with at least a point? But otherwise, thank you all for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on everything on the Reggae Boys leading up to that final crucial game on Tuesday against Curacao. Otherwise, with great Reggae Boys content, you're already the right place. Jump in fun. YouTube, pick up yourself.